I want to tell you why the fife is such a good precursor to playing the flute, and if flute lessons aren't available to you or your teacher has said that your hands are too small, I want to show you why this is a great start, and we'll make sure that when you do move on to the flute, you make the best start you possibly can. So the first thing is, it's basically indestructible. It's made of plastic and you can wash it out with hot soapy water. That is a real attraction. The other thing is the cost. So instead of hundreds of pounds for a flute, this is less than £20 for a book, a carry case and a fife. So it's a great way of finding out if you're properly committed to practicing an instrument or if you feel that it's for you. Okay, let's look at the size of it in comparison to the flute. So here's the fife and here is the flute. So you can see that if you are quite small, your arms are going to struggle to stretch out here. My experience is that young players, their shoulder comes up here, they tire very quickly because they're having to support the weight of the metal flute. Therefore, they spend a lot of time trying to correct all of that, not focusing on how they're blowing or what they might be managing to do to play the instrument. The main issue for them is actually holding the flute up, and it does detract from putting in place proper technique. So you can see that the reach here is a lot smaller. The next thing is that the blowing is almost identical, and in fact actually almost slightly harder to get a sound out of the fife. You can see that it has a moulded lip plate there, not an awful lot of support to show you where your lips will go, whereas the flute actually is larger and you've got a bit more guidance as to where to put it. My experience is that young players, once they've played on this, transfer so easily to make a very good sound on the flute, and so straight away this is already set up, they've got the right muscles in place, and so we don't need to spend a lot of lesson time on that. So one of the first things that we do when we're learning the fife is we look at how to hold it and how to support the weight of the instrument, which is practically nothing really, but we get our hands in the right place. And this book that I use by Liz Goodwin, I absolutely love it because it really makes sure that we do that properly from the start, so that the pressure points are correct. Again, when you transfer onto the flute, it's all just there. So we can then deal with the specific flute aspects, and we're not worrying about how we balance it as well. We're tweaking it for the size of the flute. Right from the start then, you spend time in the lip shape, time in how to balance it. Once that's in place, very quickly, young players can play lots and lots of notes. So it's quite a nice sound. They've got plenty of tunes to begin with, and they can fly through at this stage without feeling really tired, putting in place good practice habits, and really getting to grips with reading music and the dexterity of your fingers. You don't have to spend a long time on the fife. It's just good for getting these basic principles in place and letting you enjoy music without getting bogged down. Take advice on it from your teacher, who'll be able to transfer you just when your arm length and your reach is correct. And the crucial thing with that is that you're not getting bogged down with difficulties in your practice. You're not getting frustrated as well. And I think this is a brilliant way of capturing enthusiasm, getting pupils going on music straight away and starting off their flute playing without any of the real difficulties.